Hey friends, MarcySchoenborn here from Scho Fit Business 300X, and today I'm showcasing my friend Laura Tipton from lauratipton.com. She is a parent lifestyle coach, mainly focusing on women. Laura, take it away.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk with you. Where did you want me to start?
So why did you get started?
Well, I started off with wanting to help moms primarily because of how I started my own life, my own situation. When I was very young, just out of high school into college, I got involved in a relationship and married to somebody that was not healthy. The relationship was a really bad marriage, and I got healthy enough to get out of it and was able to realize that by the time I was 25, I was going to have to work, because in this day and age, everybody has to have two incomes pretty much. It's just kind of how society is right now. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that I was going to have to work, and I wanted to be able to have the support to be able to be present in my kids' lives. So I married my husband that I've been married to now for almost 26 years. And we've built this life together. And essentially I work full time. He works full time, but I've been a present mom, and I've learned how to, and this is what I actually teach, is how to coach, how to work with moms on being present, a peaceful, autonomous relationship that the kids can learn from, make their own decisions, but also still have guidance in the process. And 26 years later, I have 3 kids are putting themselves through college right now. I have 5 kids total. And we haven't had to pay for anything. They've gotten scholarships and paid their own ways. They're just doing amazing. And my oldest daughter actually came back to me and thanked me for the way that I raised her, because she said she's in college looking at all these kids scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. And she knows. I mean, she's a very independent, very wise, very responsible girl that also knows how to have a good time. I mean, she's got a great personality, and but makes good decisions. So
that's amazing. And this is really, really needed in this day and age. But I think it's awesome that you recognized so long ago that it was needed. And, we raised 5 kids. I have 3, my husband has 2. And I definitely could have used some help along the way, and I remember short fused moments where you say things you don't mean, or you snap, or you say no just because you don't have the energy to allow them, and you probably hear these things from clients that I'm expressing to you. And I've been an empty nester a long time, and those things weigh on you, because you're like, man, I wish I could have done it better. And kids aren't born with a book.
Yeah, well, and sure. And I don't think anybody's perfect. Certainly I've had moments where, especially during the teenage years in particular, or and that's one good thing. My husband and I have had such a good relationship that we really didn't argue until we had the twins, because they were 3 months early and in the NICU for 4 months, and we had 3 at home, and it was a very stressful time in our lives.
You're exhausted.
Yeah. Exhausted. And that's where the marriage piece comes in that you have to also balance out, your relationship with your husband, because a lot of times our relationships get lost in the process of raising kids. Yeah. Because you're so focused and ingrained on raising kids that the empty nest syndrome comes around, which is kind of where we're headed now. And I'm like, wow, we need to, find each other again and build our relationship back up a little bit better, because, you need that. It's when the kids are gone, they're gone, as you know.
Right, right.
You're back to just the 2 of you.
Yes. And that's, what I think, having second marriage for me, when we joined the children, the family. And I think that in getting married at 30 for the second time, and coming in knowing what we both wanted, knowing we were going to be honest with each other, knowing there weren't going to be games like our past, knowing the importance of our time together. Also, we came together with a house full of kids. So we didn't have like the newlywed time.
Right.
We didn't have that till after. So that's a blessing that I have, is that we worked hard to, and we recognized it was work to keep the marriage healthy and happy. And so that's, that's a part I have that's good, is the healthy marriage, but didn't always have the healthy, parenting. And some of that, you might even be able to, talk on this a little bit, is, when you've got ex-spouses, you've got extra personalities weighing in that don't always want to agree with you and don't always put the children's best interest first. And there can be a lot of damage there.
So I don't personally, within my own kids, have that issue because I didn't have children with them. However, I do have it with my husband's family. He came from a broken marriage, and it was a pretty, I think from what I know, pretty rocky childhood, and, lots of not working together, as you said, between the ex-spouses, and a lot of guilt and blame and so forth kind of put on the kids, so to speak, or maybe it wasn't blame, but they felt a lot of shame and guilt about things that were, that came up. And unfortunately, that is something that does happen a lot, I think, with broken marriages. And it's, it's great that you recognized it, because it does do damage. And certainly my husband currently doesn't have a great relationship with his biological dad. And it's sad to me because they don't have a good relationship with us as far as grandparents either. And it's a missed opportunity that,
right.
Unfortunately, you just kind of got to put up your own boundaries and values around it and work with what you have. You can't make somebody be part of your life. You can't make somebody love you. You can't make somebody act a certain way. So you have to put up your own boundaries and values, and you have to work with your kids and teach them exactly, how they can put it up to healthy, so they can have a healthy mindset on it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that you've dealt with that, but it probably makes you a better coach, because I struggle with coaches that haven't experienced what they're trying to teach. And, so with you having that and knowing those feelings and those emotions, and it probably makes you better at what you do, honestly. So I think that's, I always think God has a plan, and he puts these things in our life and we don't always recognize why, but, if we can, learn from them, expound on them, and teach from them, I think, that's what we're even here for. So that's,
Absolutely.
That's pretty awesome. So do you find yourself coaching a lot of like teenage parents, teenage moms?
No, I would say, so I was a lactation consultant back in my earlier days. And so I did work with a lot of younger moms and with younger children, obviously, for about 10 years before I kind of morphed into the teenage era. And so now I work a little more with at least parents that are out of that toddler stage. I don't mind working with them. I just don't, I've been there, done that, but I don't necessarily connect with them maybe as much anymore as I do with the people that have kids in school. And especially the teenage years, because those are, I found, the hardest years so far, because you have, you've parented how you've parented, and you've got to change the ways that you didn't parent well. And then hope that they make great decisions before they go out and make terrible decisions that could be catastrophic, right?
Right, absolutely. Do you find that children, I don't know if I know how to say this right. I mean, I feel like children are acting older, younger. And so parents are dealing with things at younger ages that they weren't necessarily dealing with. And I only know this from, I teach preteens in Sunday school, and the things that they tell me, I know I dealt with teenagers. And right. This is across the board around the country, around the world. And it's, times are kind of crazy. I don't think social media helps. Two parents having to work, like you said, you wanted to be home, you recognize that. I think there's more women trying to do that, finding the importance of that. Sure. But do you see this happening younger to children, needing the parents needing more assistance in raising them right?
Yeah, and I do agree with that. So the kids are being exposed to things a lot younger, and having to deal with it a lot younger. The rate of drug use and the rate of sex and stuff like that has definitely decreased in age to a much younger point. However, they've also found that the maturity rate of your brain and when your brain actually matures has gotten later. So we used to think that teenagers matured by 25, but that's because they got a lot more experience in life earlier. Now they're finding that, so I said that backwards. So they have experience in life outside of the home once they leave the house, because there's not that social media and stuff where they can talk to their parents and kind of get their parents to solve things for them on the outside world, right? So parents still come to the rescue. Parents still do a lot of things for kids once they're in college. Whereas when we were in college and left the home, we had to mature pretty quickly because we didn't have that piece. When we left the home, we left the home. And so now they're finding that it's the age of 30 before the brain is fully functional and fully developed as far as adult years. Yes. So,
but they think they are at 13.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, they are. And they're not making, it's the logical part of the brain, and they're not making good choices. So that's where we have to come along and help them, but not do it for them. And that's kind of where, as parents, with the whole social media, and I think with some of the guilt of moms working outside of the home, is we like to do things for our kids in order to make it easier, maybe out of guilt, maybe out of shame, maybe out of just making it easier because our lives are so much more, full of chaos and complications. And we're trying to figure out even where to put ourselves in that for our own stuff. And so I think that we, tend to solve things for our kids more on a regular basis, and that's not helping them.
No, that's not helpful at all. No. And I remember one of my words I always use with my children when they would come to me, and even as adults, when they come to me still, they're all over 30. And they ask me for advice. I say, what are the consequences? What are the consequences? Think about it, pros and cons. What are your consequences? There's consequences of every decision. And sometimes they make the right choices and sometimes they don't. At over 30, it's really not on me. Hopefully I've, input enough good that they make good choices. But, when you've got teenagers that are looking at social media and worried about likes and worried about, what everybody thinks of them, they're not thinking of the right consequence. They're thinking of the attention. They're thinking of, and I think this is just so much. I think parents have a way harder road today than I had.
Yep.
It wasn't that long ago, but it was a while ago. But I mean, honestly, my husband and I say all the time, we are so glad we're done raising children, but we have grandchildren in this world. And that's, it's a scary time. So I definitely encourage people, if people have questions, can they reach out to you and see if this is a fit for them? Do you have like an intro program? How does your program work?
So right now I'm revamping my program, but essentially what I'm offering right now is to work with them one-on-one. I don't really have a group program yet. I do plan to have one in the future, but they can reach out certainly and we can talk about it. And if they feel like it's a right fit for them, or they want to get further in depth, then I can do an intensive with them and we can talk for, an hour and a half and really get to know each other and figure out what the specific problems are that they're having. And see if we can come up with a way to work together. And if they like it, then we can set up, a 3-month program that they can work with me on a weekly basis and really kind of dive deep to figure out the best ways for them to go, a different direction. And if 3 months sounds too long, I certainly am flexible.
Okay. And so you're working with the mom or the parents and not the children?
I work with just mainly the moms. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I do get dads, but it's primarily moms because let's face it, we're still the primary caretaker.
Yes.
It's just kind of our role. And so, so it's mainly the moms. And the other piece that I work on is balancing themselves in there, because that's something that we do as moms all the time is we put everybody else first and our work first and our house first and our bills first. And where is the time left for us? There is nothing. So I make sure that they work on themselves because that's extremely unhealthy not to focus on yourself as well.
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup.
You cannot pour from an empty cup. Nope.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So.
yeah. No, that is awesome. So I will have your link in the description so people can reach out to you. And I think this has been really enlightening to me because I knew a little about what you did, but not much, since everybody, I know her because she was Elvis's second mommy. So, because
Yep.
she's from the cattery from where I got my Elvis. And if you don't know who Elvis is, where you been? So
Elvis is awesome.
he is a riot, and oh my gosh, yeah. So I might need parenting coaching with Elvis.
Right.
So,
I can help with that too.
Yes, I know you can. So Laura, I really appreciate your time today. And friends, you will be able to reach out to her, information in the description, and let her know that, you saw this interview. And, hopefully if you've got any issues with your household, your children, and you want to make them better, I hope you reach out to her. So Laura, have a great day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
And I'll be texting you soon about a Elvis question.
Okay, sounds good. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.